You're listening to Average Joe Sports Talk Podcast with your boy E-Man.
Yo, what up, everybody? Your boy E-Man coming at ya, episode 29, baby. Your boy's back at it, baby. Back at the grind, bringing you the best and most honest takes on sports and views from an average Joe. No lying, no tricks, no games. Your boy just pouring out his heart out week after week. The NBA season is kind of, I think we could say almost the midpoint because it's December. You got Christmas coming up. Right now it dies down a little bit until after the All-Star break when the playoff races and the contenders are in the mix. And then you got the player, the teams not going to make the playoffs. The biggest buzz was the starting of the year with LeBron and the rookies and all that good stuff. It has died down a little bit. So we're going through that slow season. But the only thing I could really put my finger on right now, to me, the most exciting thing going on right now in the NBA definitely has to be Luka Doncic. I mean, this kid was highly recruited. Everybody went to Europe and look at him and they were saying, he's good, but I think he's going to struggle in the NBA. But the kid has actually come on and taken this league by storm. Let's go first to the numbers. So in 23 games, 18.2 points a game. That's not bad. I mean, it's not going to blow you out the water, but remember, he's 19 years old. LeBron averaged like 21 points a game in his rookie season. 6.5 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 43% field goal percentage from 38.4 and 78% from the free throw line. These are pretty good numbers for a 19-year-old and the rookie. I mean, this is actually legit numbers. But the numbers is not what impressed me the most. What impressed me the most about this kid is the it factor that he has. He doesn't play like a rookie. I mean, just the other night alone. And don't get it twisted. If the season ended today, Luka Doncic will be your rookie of the year. Your NBA rookie of the year. And don't get me wrong, I'm also saying it out there, and I said it a couple of weeks ago when I did a couple of, when we spoke about Luka Doncic. I think Luka Doncic will win the NBA Rookie of the Year, barring some type of catastrophic injury. But anyway, he does have the it factory, the swag. To me, this kid has the potential to be the greatest foreign player of all time, and probably a top 10 player in the NBA. I'm saying top 10 right now because I think there's a lot for this kid left to develop. He needs to work on his physicality, He needs to work on his body because the kid, he needs to get a little more buffer, it looks like a little fat. But going back to the swag, the it factor, his court awareness, bro. Did you see just when you look at this place, that one pass, that quarterback pass, football pass across the court from one side to the other, right off to Dennis Smith Jr. and dunking it. He has already hit a couple of shots at the buzzer to end some halves and end some quarters. Clutch. All right. He's actually hit another clutch shot the other day against the Trailblazers last week to put the team in the league. And of course, on a game that he was 1 for 9 against the Rockets last week, the team is down by like 7 or 8 points. And Luka Doncic goes buck wild, scoring 11 straight points against the Rockets. And this is the thing. It's impressive, the 11 straight points. No doubt about it. It's impressive. But what's impressive is also not just the scoring capacity, but the way he was knocking down shot after shot. The step back, the moves that he has, I think this kid has a 6 step back because he's 6'8", so he has long legs. So he could probably step back from free throw line into the 3-point line. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but what he did in Capella, crossover through the legs, crossover and step back and hit a 3 in his grill, nasty. What he did the other day when he just, the spin move, hitting those 3s in the corner. So the kid is doing special things this early on in his career. He's like the 4th NBA player to go on an 11 run this season. Stephen Curry did it. Lou Williams did it. James Harden did it, and now Luka Doncic. I think the first rookie to do it in a very long time. And what he did is putting the team on his back. I mean, he was 1 for 9, and during that whole 11-point run he did the other day, 3 for 3 from 3, and have 4 field goals. He went 4 for 4 from the field. Bro, sick. He plays a lot like a veteran, man. He doesn't have rookie. He makes his mistakes, but he's proven he's a kind of a clutch player, man. And for somebody who's 19. And don't get me wrong, bro. The kid has been playing since he was the age of 14 in Spain as a professional in Spain. I mean, this is one of the teams. Him with the backcourt of Dennis Smith and DeAndre Jordan playing together. I thought it was going to be an up-tempo game. Lobs over here, some shots over here. But I didn't expect Luka Doncic to have these good numbers of 18 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting in the 40s and percentage. It's not bad. But what I didn't expect is him taking the leadership of the team and taking big shots this early on in his career. If he would have told me what you expect for Luka Doncic, I said, look, he's been playing in Spain. So yeah, I think the kid's going to average 13 or 14 a game. I don't think that many rebounds. I don't think that many assists, but there's no way in hell I thought this kid was going to take 11 points in a row and put the team on his back and win a game. I didn't think he was going to score 25 points in some of the games and hit big threes, hit shots at the buzzer. So right now he's taking that team on his back. He's the leader of that team at 19 years old. And this is the first taste you just got, that 11 straight points that put the team on his back, and they had a comeback win against the Rockets. This kid is a real deal. Luka Doncic is a real deal. And don't sleep on the Mavs. They ain't going to make any noise. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak into the playoffs, as the 8th seed. Don't sleep on the Mavs, and don't hate on Luka, because Luka is the best rookie right now in the NBA. And this kid is going to be the best foreign player of all time, greater than Nowitzki. And he's going to be a top 10 player in the NBA fairly soon. I had to get that off my chest. I had to throw that in there, man. I didn't do any NBA last week, but I need to get my boy Luka a shout out and give you what I think of this player. And this kid is a player. He's for real. Don't sleep on Luka. All right, man. Why don't we do some NFL? Week 13. Recaps, reactions, takeaways. Next. So here we are at week 14, and right now the playoff race is getting thick, real thick. AFC has a lot of 7-6 teams, man. They're still in the hunt, and it's going to be a dogfight to get that 6th seed, and it's not going to be easy. I think it's going to get dirty. It's going to get really, really dirty. You know what I'm saying? And the way that it looks, bro, I don't know what to say. I mean, the freaking Titans, that monster game by Derrick Henry. What can you say? So Thursday, week 14 started out with a bang. Derrick Henry had a performance for the ages, 238 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, a 99 record-tying TD run, single-handedly keeping the Titans still alive in the thick of the AFC playoff picture. For real. I mean, right now, if the season ended, the Titans right now would be left out. But they're still in it. You know what I mean? Because the Baltimore Ravens have the better record, and, they have tie breaks against Miami. They got tie breaks against Indianapolis, the best winning percentage in the conference. So they'll eliminate the Tennessee Titans, and they'll also eliminate the Dolphins and the Colts. The Ravens will actually be the number 6 seed. But come on, man, there's still 3 games left in the season. The Colts came back, and you know what? After having that horrible loss against the 6-0 loss shutout on week 13 against the Jaguars, they came back strong, and they're 7-6, just like the Titans and just like the Dolphins. So therefore, Andrew Luck bounced back, had another good game. So the Colts are in the thick of things, man. They're right in the thick of all the playoff picture right now in the AFC. So taking a look back, right now, Kansas City will be your number 1 seed. New England will be your number 2 seed if the playoffs ended today. The playoffs started today, which they hold a tiebreaker over Houston based on head-to-head. The Texans will be number 3. Really, really bad loss against the Colts. I mean, the Colts had to come back, and they snapped the 9-game winning streak for the Texans. The Steelers are number 4, but that could change right away. The Steelers have lost 3 in a row. I mean, they're still leading the league. They're still leading their division by half a game over the Baltimore Ravens, who lost this week against that crazy-ass game against KFC. I'm going to go ahead and react a little more on it in a little while, but that's just a matter of, they're 7-5-1. That's just a matter of, bye-bye. I think the Steelers are so pretenders. Number 5 will be the Chargers, because unfortunately they're trailing after Kansas City, who is one of the teams that clinch the playoff berth. The other teams that claim divisions are the New Orleans Saints and the LA Rams. So they'll be getting buys in the first week. Right now, the Chiefs have clinched the playoff berth, and they're the only team in the AFC to clinch a playoff berth. And it's looking nasty. I mean, you have Baltimore, Indianapolis, Miami, and Tennessee at 7-6. It could go any way. If the Tennessee gets hot, wins the last 3 games of the season, the Colts lose at least 1 game. So does the Ravens, and so does Miami. It could go either way. Anybody can get hot. Still wide open. That 6th spot is still wide open because Baltimore's at 6 at 7-6. It's wide open. It's anybody's 6 spots, 6th seed over here. And the number 4 seed, which is the Steelers, can, change pretty quick because of how bad how bad that freaking division is. So it's out there, man. This is one of those real dicey and close playoff races in the AFC. Now, moving on to the, to the NFC, New Orleans 11-2, clinch. LA Rams lost yesterday, surprisingly, to Chicago, who, wow, they did their schemes. And Chicago is, Nagy has these boys playing Nagy football, man. And he has a scheme and a system that fits Trubisky, or the other way around. He's making that system that Trubisky can fit in and make them win as they beat the Rams. It was a dirty down low game. Gurley didn't show up. I mean, Gary Goff had his worst game of the year. 3 picks. What are you going to say? So Dallas, so the Bears are number 3 in that division. Number 4 right now is Dallas. And Dallas right now, they're on a 5-game winning streak. So thank Amari Cooper for Dak Prescott's discovery of his passing game all over again, the resurgence of his passing game. The Vikings are 6-5, and let me tell you something, the Vikings can be completely out of this soon if they lose today against the Seattle. Right now, Monday Night Football is going on. Seattle is up 3-0. Ugly game. Third quarter, 2 minutes left. But they could definitely lose this out. They could definitely be bye-bye pretty freaking soon. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. They could be eliminated from the playoff picture this week. That's how close that is. 6-5-1. Talking about the Dolphins, I got to give my local squad, the Dolphins, some love this week, man, because holy cow, the miracle in South Florida. Stills to Parker to Drake for the lateral heard around the world. Combination of Brandon Bolden, 2 TDs. He had 2 rushing attempts, scored 2 touchdowns, 60 yards. If you combine Brandon Bolden, who only had one rushing attempt this whole season, scoring 2 TDs today, and this incredible lateral with 7 seconds left to beat New England, holy cow. That has to make it into the Christmas miracle in South Florida. The biggest Christmas miracle that South Florida has ever seen. And miracles usually are done for cold cities, man, that really look like it's Christmas time. I cannot believe that. And first of all, what is up with Gronk being out there as a safety and I think it took out Amari. I don't get it. What was Belichick thinking? This one backfired on Belichick, man. This one definitely backfired on Belichick. Because Tom Brady gave you 358 passing yards with 3 touchdowns. All right, gave you the lead, and they still lost this game. Yes, it was a fluky play. Honestly, I thought they were going to catch Drake a couple of times, but I mean, Gronk at the end there, a slip. But why you have Gronk all the way back there? Why don't you have a safety? Why don't you have a special teams guy out there? What is wrong with these people? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Now, on the flip side, Brian Tannehill. When you get the good Tannehill, you get the good Tannehill, and usually good things happens for the Dolphins. He went 14 for 19, 265, and 3 touchdowns. Vintage Tannehill. That's what he does. He's not going to give you 300 or 400 yards, but he'll give you conservative numbers. Is going to put your team in position. Brandon Bolden, 2 rushing attempts, 60 yards. Frank Gore got busy with 92 rushing yards. The old man keeps doing it. Probably going to end up getting 1,000 yards this season again. And the guy is like 35 years old. And he's probably going to get us 1,000 yards. I mean, he already has 708 yards. 3 games, man. 3 games that he gets 100-yard game in there. This is going to be nasty. This might be nasty. But hey, I had to give a shout out to them. And now, and they're still alive. They're alive. They're 7-6 in the playoff picture, like we mentioned before. So hey, they're in the thick of things, and they're going to definitely part of this whole weird 7-6 5-team race for that 6th and final playoff spot in the AFC East. I mean, what else can you say, huh? And of course, the game of the week to me was definitely the number 1 defense against the number 1 offense. And I'm talking about the Chiefs versus the Ravens. And don't get me wrong, man. It was a really good game. Honestly, I think that the Ravens had this, but the magic of Patrick Mahomes did it again. They were getting to Mahomes. Mahomes had 377 yards, no doubt about it. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the Ravens played the right defense that needed to play. Let's give him props. I'm going to give the dude props. But, I'm speechless. That pass to Hill out of nowhere was insane. Tyreek Hill had 139 yards receiving and 8 receptions. Did not score a touchdown. You knew that was going to happen. They were going to clamp down on Hill, but Kelsey was the benefactor there. And they had a run with Damian Williams. I mean, they're without Kareem Hunt. When they play teams with this kind of defense, with that forefront and good safeties and good corners, Kareem Hunt would have definitely done that. Dumb down play that would made some really good running plays. They would have dink and donked it a couple of times. They would have opened up the long range game, the long passing game. Spencer Ware and all the 4 other running backs they have cannot equal to 1 Kareem Hunt. But you know what? That's old news. Kareem Hunt messed up. He's out of the league. Good riddance. You should not be slapping anybody, especially women. But dude, Mahomes, wow. That pass to Tyreek Hill kept the game alive. Kid had 377 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Right now, remember I said last week, if he breaks the touchdown record, and after 5 touchdowns, I think I put him over Breeze for the MVP, offensive MVP. I think he just sealed the deal. He's going to have to go really, really bad in the last 3 games. He's going to have to throw like 4 interceptions in each game with 1 touchdown in order for me to say that he's not the MVP. To me, that dude is the MVP this year. Wow. 4th and 9. It was a 4th and 9 freaking throw. And that throw that he just did out there at 40-something, 50 yards across his body, again, shows that this kid is unreal. Mahomes is unlike any other quarterback I've ever seen. He's like 4 quarterbacks I've seen, but all put together equals 1 Mahomes. And I'm going to give props to Lamar Jackson. I've been bashing the kid that all he does is run. He's a running quarterback. He is. Tebow time for sure. He hasn't cracked over 200 yards passing, I think, yet. 13 out of 24, but he threw 2 really good balls for scores during this game. So I got to give him props. It's his first multi-passing touchdown game of his career. Again, rushed for 71 freaking yards again. We know that that's not a surprise. That's his deal. They almost had 200 rushing yards again. They rushed for 198 yards, the Ravens did. And they played the right game script. I know he was out for the last 2 plays for Robert Griffin III. Actually threw a nice ball, almost got it in. I don't know if that was a questionable call there or not. Could have gone either way on the pass interference. But yo, look, get the kid Lamar Jackson props, man. Made 2 really good touchdown passes. One was a good corner one, and then the other one was a nice little quick slant there. So I'm not sold on this kid. I think he's a Tim Tebow first and pass second kind of quarterback. But you know what? That team is hot, and they almost pulled it off. And Mahomes, to me, is the MVP. He's still going to keep Lamar Jackson in it until the end of the season. I don't think he plays too conservative to really have one of those 4 interception games and, not even throw a touchdown. I think he's a little smarter than that. One thing I do give him, he's a smart player, but he needs to develop more accurateness. But hey, man, AFC go through the Kansas City Chiefs. The AFC goes through the Kansas City Chiefs. I hate to say that because I might regret this because of New England, even though they lost on that fluky lateral heard around the world against Miami. But hey, I think the playoffs this year go through the new king in town, which is a Kansas City Chief. I know. Come on, bro. Prematurely here. I don't think so. There's still 3 games left, and the kid has been doing it over, and Mahomes and that team has been doing it over and over and over again. I think it's time. It's time to anoint them the new kings of the AFC. And after this last week, the Cowgirls it was a really good game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they just sealed that division. They just definitely sealed that division. They got to really play really, really bad in order to blow this. But what about the trade? I think Amari Cooper has been the best trade in a very long time, midseason like that. Amari Cooper has been the revival of the Cowgirls passing game. And Dak Prescott, after he signs this big extension at the end of the offseason, has to buy this kid dinner for the rest of his life and hook him up with Louis the 13th freaking booze for the rest of his life, because he's the reason why the resurgence of the Dallas passing game and of the Dak's freaking passing game has all been Amari Cooper. I mean, this last week was another example, bro. Dak has his best game of the season passing wise. 455 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bro, all 3 balls were thrown to Amari Cooper for touchdowns. Amari again, 217. I think he went for the second time he goes for over 200 yards this season since he got traded. 10 receptions. Wow. And this kid has been ridiculous since he got traded. What a tale of 2 teams. This kid has been just unreal since he came Cowboys. Let's take a look at the last 5 games. The last 5 games have all win for Dallas. And Amari had, like I said, 3 touchdowns, 217 yards his last game. Had 8 receptions against New Orleans for 76 yards. And that was a very ugly game. That the only offensive touchdown was scored by Zeke. But he averaged freaking 9.5 yards per catch. Well, again, this is where I'm saying he's a resurgence of this passing game. All right. They beat Washington. 8 receptions, 9 targets, 180 yards, 2 more touchdowns. Against Atlanta, that was probably his worst game. 5 yards, 5 catches and 36 yards. And then after the week before, he had 6 receptions for 75 yards. So right now, but he's averaging over 15 yards a catch here. Unbelievable. I mean, he's averaging almost 15 yards a catch so far this year. And it's all been since he came to Dallas. He's just been on fire. He's been on fire. During wins, this kid has been ridiculous. 5 touchdowns, 16.7 average yards per catch, has 35 receptions with 184 yards in all these wins. He's just been the man. He's the reason why Dak Prescott is doing so great. He has to thank this whole season and that bread he's going to get. He has to thank Amari Cooper for all that money that dude's going to get, because Dak Prescott doesn't convince me, man. He's a 260-yard kind of guy, can move with his legs. But, dude, Amari Cooper, and I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people that are going to require a lot of money during free agency, because you're going to have Zeke, who's going to be a free agent, Dak, and also Amari Cooper. I don't know if they have enough cash. But if somebody can get money, it's definitely Jerry Jones. But, whoa, I think the crapshoot of the NFC East is under control by Dallas. Eagles are done. They're not coming back, and neither is the Redskins, all right? They need to, I don't know what the Redskins need to do, but they're done. They're so done. Talking about the Redskins, huh? What about the G-Man? I gotta end the football segment with the G-Man, bro. Have to. I mean, they're out of it, no doubt about it. And they're pissing me off because they have another win. So they decide to beat the Redskins, who are like, they're limping. And come on, B, can you do this to me? We're blowing our chances for a quarterback, Kyle Murray, who just won the Heisman, man. We're blowing our chances. We're 5-8 now. Why? Why do we do this? Again, has another good rating game. 197, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 170 yards, 12.1 average. He was just, again, with another 75-yard touchdown. Evan Ingram actually had a game. I mean, without, and I know the Redskins suck. They can't stop anybody. They have a good defense, but they're so hurt it's not even funny. But Sterling Shepard caught a TD. Russell Shepard caught a TD, and so did Benny Fowler. So, bro, Eli Manning looked like Drew Brees out there throwing touchdown passes and catches to, and these guys were catching all these no-names. Russell Shepard and Bernie Fowler, and even Ingram made a showing. He looked good out there, didn't he? The old man looked good out there. And we win this game without Odell Beckham Jr. So, Odell, stay out, bro, for the rest of the season. It's all good. I'm just kidding. We still need Odell, but still don't like Odell, a little prima donna, overpaid, high maintenance little dude, bro. You know what I'm saying? But hey, Giants are effing this up. We're losing our shot at a good quarterback. But what else is new? That's what the Giants do. That's what the freaking Giants do, man. They break your heart, even when they're losing. And when they need to lose more, they'll lose more. They'll win 2 games in a row. What the hell is going on here, man? What kind of BS is this? So the Giants are 5-8. They're not gonna make the playoffs, but they're gonna screw up our chances of getting a quarterback. I know Eli's coming back next year, but we need a quarterback that he could groom. And Loletta, whatever his name is not the answer. Wow. So yeah, man. In recap, playoffs, especially the AFC East. I mean the AFC Conference, American Football Conference at all. It is very alive, messy, and dicey, man. Because there's a lot of different scenarios for that 6th spot. Baltimore, Indianapolis, Miami and Tennessee are all in it to still make it. It is what it is. What's crazy is that I didn't forget to mention this, but the Chargers and the Seattle Seahawks are tied for the 5th spot just based on record because they're the second place team in each of their divisions. So depending on what happens here tonight with Minnesota, who's actually down 6-0, but is a 4th quarter, 10 minutes left. What a real crappy game though. They're in the 5-yard line of the Seahawks in Seahawks territory. And let's see if choke job Kirk Cousins can score, can pass for a score here. We'll put him 7-6, but Kirk Cousins is the biggest choke job in the world because this dude right here doesn't do anything in prime time. He doesn't do anything in prime time or against a good quarterback. So Seattle might get closer to clinching a playoff berth. Kansas City has a playoff berth, and the Saints and even the Rams lost last week are both clinch a division. That's it. That's all I got. Week 14, baby. NFL Week 14. Done. Gone and done. There's a couple of topics or points I want to hit here and closing the show for this week. Episode 29 is HBO had their last card. HBO Boxing had the last boxing card, which they've been around for 45 years. And I'm a huge boxing fan, and I've been watching these fights since I was probably a teenager, man, or even younger than that. My old man, may rest in peace, was a big boxing fan. He boxed as a kid, as a teenager, and he always introduced me to the sport of boxing. I never boxed, but I watched a lot of boxing because when I was a kid, that was pretty much what was on TV all the time. And it wasn't pay-per-view. It was any of those boxings and any of those low channels, the late night boxing. But as we grew up in Brooklyn, we used to go to these fights, pay-per-view fights, a neighbor's house, friend's house, family's house. Somebody would always host it. And HBO was always the top card, was always top billing when it came to boxing. I mean, I grew up watching number one of my favorite fighters of all time is Mike Tyson. Me being a Brooklyn kid, he's a Brooklyn kid. The guy used to destroy people, eat them alive, eat their children. I was a big Julio Cesar Chavez fan, the guy that has the most victories ever. Watching Julio Cesar Chavez destroy and put Mexican boxing on the map. It brought us Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Alexis Arguello, the late Alexis Arguello. I mean, the 80s just brought everything up. And I'm not going to go back to the 70s because I wasn't around. I was born in the late 70s. But, the 80s is what I remember watching football. Watching boxing with my old man at different fights. And I remember Tyson growing up, like I said. And then, of course, the 90s came, Felix Trinidad, Oscar De La Hoya, Roy Jones, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, another Brooklyn product. You know what I mean? These guys fought insane fights. And believe it or not, I was a fan also growing up of George Foreman. Because remember, George Foreman fought for like 50 years. He fought all the way through like the late 80s and early 90s. And as I became an adult and older and I had my own cable and I could afford pay-per-view and I had people over and I would have these fight parties, it was always, it was a pleasure watching the new school. As much as I hate Floyd Mayweather, I did not miss a single of his fights. Manny Pacquiao, Barrera, and Morales, big fights. And watching HBO after dark, HBO Saturday night fights, HBO pay-per-views. I mean, come on, man. Juan Manuel Marquez, the late great. Oh man, he with Ward, shoot, the Italian kid, bro, that he found himself, he killed himself up in Brazil. I can't remember his name, but him and Mike Ward or whatever his name is, I can't remember that. But those were some great fights. Arturo Gatti, oh my God, Arturo Gatti and Ward's fights were so insane. It was just like a bloodbath all the time, just like Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. I mean, it was just insane. Miguel Cotto, Felix Trinidad. There's so many boxers that I grew up watching through HBO. And HBO brought you these fighters, old school, new school, that you were like, wow. Of course, Canelo Alvarez now, and Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, Chocolatito Gonzalez, all these guys. There's so many to mention that it's a big part of my life growing up as a kid, and probably a lot of different people. Through a kid, teenager, from a young, adolescence guy, kid, to a teenager, to in my 20s, now in my 30s and early 40s. And dude, and I'm giving my age away. All right. I'm 40 years old. I don't care. You know what I mean? But I'm a huge sports fan, and boxing was a big thing. It reminded me of times me and my dad watched a lot of these boxing matches as a kid. Everything has to come through an end. 45 years of good memories, 45 years of great cards and great fights and history-making fights. And it's a shame. The last freaking fight, the last card in the 45-year career of HBO was probably the crappiest card I've ever seen in all the years of watching HBO boxing. Nothing against women's boxers, but you have nothing but backup acts. This is the reason why HBO it's shutting down his boxing entity, because they just cannot bring in the fights anymore. ESPN is taking a big chunk out of it. Top Rank and Showtime has taken another big chunk out of it. There's not a lot left. And HBO is definitely losing this steam. That's the reason why they shut it down. They're shutting it down because the quality's not there anymore. And it's a shame. The best part of this card last Saturday night, which is the best, probably the last card ever, it was the last card ever shown. It's going to be the last card ever shown in boxing for HBO, was the recap. And watching and hearing Roy Jones breaking down, dude, sincerely choking up as he was sincerely giving his thanks to HBO, not only for giving him a chance in a life and a career as a boxer, but also as a broadcaster. And Max Kellerman, who's a complete fake, I like Max Kellerman, but man, he just pisses me off sometimes when him and Stephen A. Smith are doing that stupid show. First Take. But they also brought Larry Merchant back, man, for a quick segment there, and that was cool because Larry Merchant was the originator, man, before Jim Lampley, Max, Roy Jones, Emmanuel Stewart. I mean, but to close it off, Jim Lampley was probably the one that was affected the most because he's been there the longest, and he worked with Roy Jones, the late great Emmanuel Stewart, George Foreman. He had so many good co-hosts, man, and commentators throughout his career. This is the most sincere I've ever seen a show closing. All three guys, especially Lampley, especially Roy Jones, could not hold back the tears. And it's a shame. A lot of people in my age group, it was a big piece of their life. And anybody that was a boxing fan in my group, in my time, are sincerely going to miss HBO. That's all I got this week. Thank you for listening. To all my loyal listeners, thank you always for listening. If you want me to holler about anything during this podcast, go ahead and DM me your topics you want me to talk about, react about. I'm all good, baby. If you're a new listener, please subscribe. Follow me on social media, on Twitter. That's where I do most of my reactions, most of my tweeting. That's all I do, man. I tweet a lot. I don't even touch Facebook, but it's still there if you still want to join the group. So thank you very much for listening. This is your boy E-Man signing out. Peace.